الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we should talk about relative clauses 5, extra information clauses 2. Okay, but before going into this topic, I need you to figure out this. Okay, whose parents, who's been living. Now, I want to be sure that you understand the difference between the first whose and the other two whose. What is the difference? First of all, let's talk about the common similarities, or the similar between, or the similarities between whose, the first whose and this whose. Okay, first of all, they both have the same pronunciation. Okay, the first one, okay, expresses the meaning of possession, but the other one is describing a person. Okay, so both of them are relative pronouns, but this one is used for possession. The other one is used to describe a person. That's the boy. Okay, whose boy? So the relative clause here describes the question, whose boy? Who's that boy you are talking about? Okay, who is in my class? Who is in my class? So the whole relative clause is describing the noun boy here, and they are talking about whose boy. Okay, for this one they are talking about the thing that the boy possess, whose parents, yani whose here is placed instead of the adjective, the possessive adjective his parents. So instead of his parents we say whose parents. Why? Because we are describing the noun boy here. Okay, what is for this okay, so the similar part is the pronunciation. The different part is that they have different meanings. Whose here means possession, and this whose means first of all, it is a short form of who plus is, as you can see here. Okay, mean who is. Okay, and the other one, this one, who's been living, it is who plus has. This is the present perfect continuous. Who's been living with our neighbors since his mother became ill. Okay, when has is a helping verb in the present perfect, it is usually contracted with who in speaking and sometimes in informal writing, as in if. When has is a main verb, it is not contracted with who. I know a man who has a cook. Okay, this whose is a main verb, so as being a main verb we cannot contract it with who. Okay, and this is present simple. When it is present perfect simple, or present perfect continuous, has is a helping verb or as an auxiliary verb, so it's okay to contract it with who. Okay, as in this example and this example here is okay, it's a present simple, it's present simple, but it is contracted with is. This is. Okay, the other one is has, and this one is relating to has. Don't forget that point. Okay, they have the same writing, who apostrophe s, who apostrophe s, but this one is different from this one. This is, but this one is has. Okay, this one is a present simple, this one is a present perfect continuous. Again, with this piece of information relates to has. When has is a main verb, you cannot contract it with who, but when it is present perfect or a present perfect continuous, you can. Okay, as in this example. Okay, in both examples E and F, here we are talking about adjective clauses, but using who. Why? Because we are describing a person here. Okay, this piece of information is relating to the person himself or herself. Okay, here in this example, himself. Okay, for this one, the first whose, we are not talking about the boy. We are okay. We are not describing the boy, but we are talking. Okay, for exercise 18, it's very important. It's very useful for you students to be sure that you understand how to use whose. As you can see here, we use it instead of her parents. So a co-worker whose parents, so we delete her and we use whose instead. A co-worker whose parents own a taxi company, own a whose parents own a taxi company, drives an old taxi to work. The important point is to be able to distinguish between the main clause and the dependent clause, or the adjective clause. This one is the main. A co-worker drives an old taxi to work. This is the main. And here we need to describe co-worker, to modify it, to describe it, or to modify it. We are using here whose instead of her, whose parents own a taxi driver. Okay, the same with number 2, 3. Okay, so this exercise is very important. Now for the point that we are talking about, which is the difference between who and whose. Now check this exercise. I know a doctor. What do you think? Is it who or whose? Last name is doctor. Who last name or whose last name? Of course, whose. Okay, how did you know that it's this one whose, not this one who? Because after whose there should be a noun, and here we've got the noun name described, okay, with the adjective last. Okay, okay, it doesn't matter, so you can say whose name or whose last name. Okay, I can say whose parents or whose old parents, or whose interesting parents. Okay, it's okay to describe the noun after whose. Okay, here we've got the adjective last. Okay, no problem. So here we use whose. Last name is doctor. Okay, I know a doctor who, of course, this who is the right answer, who lives on a sailboat. Why? Because who here is the subject. We need a verb here. It's followed after a verb. Okay, you can you know the difference between this one and this one by the following. What is the following? Is it a noun like here, or is it a verb like this one? So if we have got a verb here, so we need a subject, and who here is the subject. The professor who teaches. See, verb. The professor, name. Whose course? Here we've got course now. Course is a noun, so we must use whose. The professor whose course I almost dropped is excellent. For the adjective clause, whose course I almost dropped. This is the adjective clause. The main clause is the professor is excellent. Going back to our main topic, which is relative clauses, 5 extra information clauses. So we are still talking about extra information. And when we say extra information, it means we need what? I didn't hear. We need a comma. We need a comma. Okay, prepositions plus whom or which. This topic is really interesting. Let's read together and try to explain to you, okay, the main idea of this lesson. You can use a preposition before whom for people and which for things. حلو. أول نقطة بدنا نعرف إنه إحنا نستخدم whom for people and which for things. ممتاز. لكن قبلهم عندي prepositions. So we can say to whom, with whom, about whom, without which. Okay, about which. Okay, without which, etc. Mr. Lee, to whom I spoke at the meeting, is very interested in our proposal. Okay, where is the adjective clause? The adjective clause is the clause placed between the two commas. This is the first comma and this is the other one. على فكرة نقطة استخدام الكوما هنا مهمة جدا جدا عشان تبيني لي بأنك فاهمة إن هي extra information. تمام، لكن شرط هذه الاكسترا انفورميشن انه يكون عندي preposition before the relative pronoun. If we are talking about a person, describing a person here, as in this example, Mr. Lee, so we are using home. Okay. Fortunately, we had a good map, without which we would have got lost. We are describing map. A map is a thing. That's why they are using which. Okay. قبلها حرف الجر. طبعا هنا حرف الجر بيناسب according to the meaning. Without which. To whom I spoke. I spoke at the meeting. Okay. لاحظوا بأنه الفعل speak أصله speak to. تمام. Okay, without what? Without the map. Okay, so without which. طب تمام، حلو. هنا لاحظي. Okay, notice that here we are using a comma, and because the noun we are describing is located at the end of the main clause, that's why we can't use another comma here. We use a full stop because that is the end of the long sentence. Okay. تمام. In informal English, we often keep the preposition after the verb in the relative clause. When we do this, we normally use who, not whom, for people. Example, this is my friend from Canada, who I was telling you about. I think we talked about this point before. This is my friend from Canada whom I was telling you about here. As you can see here, tell is one of the verbs that we use a preposition afterwards. So we say tell about. Okay, been to or be to, like the very common sentence, I've been to Italy. Been to يعني كنت في إيطاليا. So been is followed by the preposition to. إذا حابة تحافظي على the preposition at the end or after the relative pronoun بدك تحطيه في الجملة الوصفية بعد relative pronoun، ما تستخدمي ليش home، تستخدمي هو. زي هنا الإكزامبل لاحظي ما حطش يعني خلينا نفترض انه لو بدي استخدم home حقول هعمل طبعا هنا الكوما، تنسوش لانه احنا نتعامل من البدايه قلنا مع extra information. فحنقول about whom I was telling you. About whom I was telling you. طبعا this is for this example it is not informal, it is formal. عرفنا من الأول إن استخدام home with formal context. إذا لو بدي أغيرها ل formal context وبدي أستخدم ال home هقول about whom I was telling you. About whom I was telling you. لكن في spoken language بستخدموا ال who مش ال whom مرة ثانية، مش ال whom في ال who، وبنخلي حرف الجر بعد الفعل مش قبل ال relative pronouns زي ال examples هدول. Okay. This is the example for which yesterday we visited the city museum, which I'd never been to before. Here we are describing the city museum. That's why we're using which here. And as you can see, it's okay to use the preposition after which, not before. Why? Because we are it's a spoken language. If it is written language, it's okay to use this example, or to say to which never been I've never been before. Okay, this is for section A. Let's go to section B. I'd like to remind you of a point before moving to section B, which is that don't forget that when we say extra information, it means that it's okay to get rid of the adjective clause. يعني the sentence is clear without using the adjective clause. The meaning is clear. يعني لو قلنا Mr. Lee is very interested in our proposal. جملة سليمة واضحة ما فيش فيها أي مشاكل، وإحنا عارفين مين مستر لي من غير ما نعطي extra information عنه. تمام؟ فالناس اللي نسيت ايش يعني extra information؟ يعني it's okay to get rid of the adjective clause. Okay? And the meaning will go on without interruption. The meaning will be clear. No problem with if deleting the adjective clause. تمام؟ Okay, section B. All of, most of, etc. plus which or home or which. تمام. ايش سميناهن هدول؟ all of, most of, some of, any of, few of, little of. ايش سميناهن؟ expressions of quantity. مالهن؟ بقدر استخدمهن مع relative pronouns in home with which. حلو، جميل، رائع، ممتاز. Study these examples. Helen has 3 brothers. All of mean all of them. إذا them عايدة على مين؟ عايدة على brothers. Brothers are people. Okay? They're people. So لو بدي استبدل them هستبدلها طبعا ب home مش which. هنشوف other example. They asked me a lot of questions. I couldn't answer most of them. Them is referring to the questions, and questions are things. أشياء. فبستبدل them ب which. تمام؟ If the described noun is a person, we use home after the expression of a quantity. If the described noun is a thing, we use which after the expression of quantity. And don't forget, it's okay to use whatever expression of a quantity you need, according to the meaning here. All of, most of. Okay, so it's up to the speaker to use the expression of a quantity he wants, but don't forget to use home for people and which for things. Okay, and also don't forget that these are extra information, so don't forget to use a comma after the adjective clause. Before the adjective clause, as in this one here and this one here. Okay, I think it's clear. Let's move to this part. In the same way, we can say, these are other expressions of a quantity, like none of, neither of, any of, much of, home for people, which for things. Okay, and these are more and more examples. Okay, like 2 of, don't forget that it's 2 of, we're still talking about a quantity here. 2 of which here the cars, home, friends. You can also say the cause of which, the name of which. The building was destroyed in a fire, the cause of which. Okay, cause gives a reason, the cause of. So here the extra information is giving you the reason, the cause of which was never established. He stayed at a beautiful hotel, the name of which I can't remember now. The name of which, so here we're talking about the name of the hotel. The name of the hotel and the cause of the fire. The cause of the fire. That's why you're using which because yeah, we're describing the noun fire, and here we are describing the noun hotel. I think this one is clear as well, but remember that these are not expressions of quantity. These are names connected with the relative pronoun by using the of. Okay, the cause of, the name of. Okay, okay, so using the plus noun plus of plus the relative pronoun. And can you see that they are giving you two examples with which, and they are not giving you an example with whom? Okay, for section C, not what. Study this example. Joe got the job. This surprised everybody. Joe got the job, which described everybody. Okay, hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. تمام, تمام. This section is different from the previous ones. إيش الفرق؟ الفرق. تعالي معايا من الأول. هنا to whom وصفة Mr. Lee, without which وصفة Matt. who هنبعد شوية، هذا المثال الوحيد اللي شوية بعد الوصف وصفة my friend، بس برضو واضحة إنه هاي المعلومة متعلقة ب my friend، ملهاش علاقة في from Canada، هذه بس جملة اعتراضية. تمام. which هي مش جملة، هي phrase. المهم which describes the okay يعني المعلومة اللي بتعطيني هذه لها علاقة بميوزيوم. تمام، حلو. تعالي هان. home مين؟ عيد على brothers. which عيد على مين؟ على questions. okay. تمام تمام. which أنا على jackets. home على men. which cars. home friends. اوكي تمام. لاحظنا بأنه الاسم الموصوف قلنا لازم يكون قبل الصفة مباشرة. تمام، زي الإكزامبلز المذكورة. لو جيتي للمعنى هنا لما نقول which surprised everybody، which surprised everybody، إيش اللي دهش الجميع؟ إنه حصل على وظيفة، إنه اشتغل، توظف. هذا شيء أذهل، لي أوتوماتيكلي طلعت شيء أذهل الجميع. إذا هنا الموصوف مش العمل. الموصوف انتبهي مهم، هذا السكشن مهم جدا. هذا الموصوف مش العمل، إذا هذا يختلف عن البقية. إيش الموصوف؟ حصوله على العمل. إذا الجملة بالكامل هي الموصوفة. This is referring to Joe got the job. Okay. في هذه الحالة لا يصح إلا استخدام الوجه، يعني ما في examples أنا بستخدم فيها الهوم. لما أنت بتصف الجملة بالكامل دائما حنستخدم الوجه، ودائما حيكون extra information مع استخدام القامة. تمام. كيف أعرف إنه الوجه أنا مش بتكلم مش على الجوب؟ if هني الجملتين Joe got the job, this described everybody. إيش اللي أدهشهم؟ حصوله على الوظيفة. So which here is describing the whole sentence. It modifies the whole sentence. It doesn't modify the previous noun as in the previous examples. Which here describes the whole sentence. Got it? In this example, which, the fact that he got the job, you must use which, not what. أصلا قلنا من الأساس الوقت ما بتستخدم بالadjective clauses. In sentences like these, Sarah couldn't meet us. طيب, which was a shame. يا دي الكسوف. Which was a shame. إيش اللي خلاهم مكسوفين؟ إنه Sarah couldn't meet us. Okay. The weather was good, which we hadn't expected. ما توقعناش. إيش اللي ما توقعتوش؟ إنه the weather was good. لأن أنت لاحظي حتى أصلا هنا فيش اسم، يعني كلمة good is an adjective. وهنا عمرنا ما حطينا الإشي الموصوف
ضمير، دائما بنحط اسم. إذا أنت فهمي المعنى هتلقي which was a shame. إيش الشيء المخجل أو المكسف في الموضوع هنا؟ إن she couldn't meet us. وهنا إيش اللي ما توقعناهوش؟ إن the weather was good. Alright. For what? see units 92D and 93D. مش عارفة إيش اليونتس هدول، بس على الأرجح هيكون الناون clauses. الوات تيجي في الناون clauses صح، تمام، أمورنا باهية، لكن ما تيجي في الريلاتيف clauses. ويعطيكم ألف عافية. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask as soon as possible. As you know, we don't have enough time because the exams are approaching. Okay, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.